Here we go. Welcome to the UGB podcast. This is episode, I think, number 7. I don't know. It's been a while. We've been getting derailed in all sorts of attempts to get Marshall here with Strife XVII Consulting. Am I saying all that right?
It's just Strife 17. That's it. And you know what, man? Like my email has the word consulting in it, but from what I gather from a lot of professionals is nobody fucking likes a consultant. So that's what I'm listed as a business, but it's never really how I try to sell myself to people as a consultant. It implies that the dude does a lot of watching and not doing.
And you'd be more of a teacher, I guess.
Right. And right. So if I'm going to have you do something, I'm going to show it to you.
Right. Okay. Well, normally we have Sawyer with FNG Precision Coatings on with us, and he is sick as fuck right now. He texted me and said he went to the hospital today, but they're sending him home, and there's some other details, but he's not going to be with us. John, he is, I think, working on getting with us. He might be here a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna text him right now, but I can't do 2 things at once. We're gonna go ahead and get. I'm the fucking worst multitasker ever. I can't talk on the phone and even
and you've all done at the same time. Like I can put a massive amount of passion and intention and intensity into a thing, but only one fucking thing at a time.
My wife, it's kind of a joke between me and her. She can do fucking 12 different things at one time. And I mean, it boggles my mind watching her be on the phone, dealing with 2 or 3 different customers and
you're just like, and you're just like, dude, I would have had a mental fucking breakdown right now. Like,
but so anyhow, we're going to get going, and John, I think, is going to try and join in here in a bit. But I guess I have a lot of questions, and I'm probably going to kind of jump around a little bit. I'll go, just so it's off the top of my head, I'm thinking about Strife 17. Tell me about that name and that choice and why you came up with that.
Well, to be honest, the whole 17 doesn't really have any significance other than making the company name sound like a rotary flight manifest. That's
okay. And I'm going to interrupt you. I'm also fucking really military stupid. Now, I think I know what that is, but there are going to be times when I stop you and be like, hey, dude, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Every helicopter in a combat theater, every flight that it makes is going to have its own flight name and number. Like take, for example, like medevac, their flight name is always dust off. And so for me, I'm not oblivious to what the human race is heading into. We're headed into an age of bitter conflict. And strife is exactly that. That's the literal definition of it, is bitter conflict. And so I know what's coming, and I know that we're already here in this age of strife, but that in the name, you're accepting that there is bitter conflict involved with what goes on under that name. That's the kind of message. I've even had I get female clients, and I'm not trying to sound like misogynistic or anything with that, but culturally women are a little more apprehensive to training than any other demographic out there. And how I preface to them, I said, look, I want you to understand, no part of the time that you spend with me is ever going to get easier than it is right now. So expect it to incrementally get harder, for it to be challenging and for you to be uncomfortable. And as long as they have this pretense to carry with them, usually they do just fine. And they actually meet halfway with exuberance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. You and I kind of share, I don't want to say the same mental outlook, or attitude, but I think we have similarities. And you mentioned the women, and I'm very abrasive. My wife all the time.
Birds of a feather.
She thinks, yeah, she thinks I'm yelling when I'm trying to talk normal type thing.
Right.
And I don't do any formal training or anything, but aside from
what you're talking about, and I'm already formulating a response on it, exactly this topic.
Well, so, and like I said, I don't do any formal training, but aside from what I put out on Instagram, the jokes, the finger on the trigger, first rule of gun safety, whatever, I'm actually an extreme stickler in real life for gun safety. And I kind of cringe at myself every time I fucking do that, but it's just funny. But anyways, so in real life, I've got a woman that, if we're selling a gun to her or whatever the fuck we're doing with it, and I tell them, kind of just like you did right up front, hey, I'm not gonna fuck with you on this gun safety. You muzzle flash somebody or do whatever. I'm not mad at you and I'm not yelling at you, but it's probably going to sound like it, but I'm doing it because you need to have that ingrained in you. And once you lay that foundation, it seems like you said, and it's unrelated,
it's
but related.
Professional. It's not personal.
Right.
I totally get it, man. And what I was actually going to hit on, on that disparagement between the sexes and couples and stuff like that. I kind of coined a term on this where I believe there exists a thing called the spouse bias, where you can take a dude, right? What I'm getting at with this. Then you can take a dude and he can tell his wife the exact fucking same thing that I say that he pays me to tell her, but she's going to listen to me because she perceives my authority and she's not in direct competition with me.
100 every single fucking time, man. And it's no different than me and my wife. I fucking do this for a living, and I tell her, hold the gun this way or do whatever, and she's very receptive. But at the same time, she still has that kind of, like you said, I guess it's a power struggle, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, all the time, a guy will bring his wife into the shop, and she's like, I want this revolver. And I'm like, I don't think that's
slow down.
Yeah. And, I'm like, I don't know if that's the best option. And I explain a few different things. And the husband's just fucking fuming, like, God damn, I just fucking told her.
Coming out of his ears.
and she's eating it up, not like I'm feeding her a line of bullshit, but she's just like, oh, that makes sense. I get it now.
And he's like, and the guy's like, I've said this 37 fucking times in the last week. Like, right.
No, totally get it.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? Like, I actually, you know what? Like, to even expound on that, if I can, we don't have a schedule. This is little insider secret I'm gonna drop. Is I tell dudes who have a reluctant significant other, just go ahead and buy the training. I'm not saying you got to buy it from me, but buy the training and give it to her. Now what she got to do with it? She's either got to fulfill that or you're flushing money down the shitter. Or you've got to contact this dude and ask him for your money back. That's not.
So you don't think that puts a negative connotation in the female's head of being pressured?
It's a little sneaky, but it's snuck in under the guise of wanting this goddamn household to be practical enough. So
I mean, I dig it. I like it. I guess I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate more than anything.
No, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to deny it. It's totally fucking toxic move. But I'm a toxic boy, man. But it gets the job done. All right.
So back to the 17. That didn't really mean anything. Why the number 17?
It just resonated with me. I said it out loud kind of for a minute, for a few weeks. And I'm like, dude, I don't really have a significance to attach to this number, but it resonates like a rotary flight manifest to me.
Gotcha. So how long you been doing can I say training?
Yeah, it's a little bit, and especially like with the way this cultural shift has gone with all these circumstances, I found myself recently getting more into what we're doing right now, teleconference. And clients will pay me to do this over the phone with them, which is kind of cool that my business has been able to adapt like that. As far as teaching goes, I've been doing this for a little over 7 years. So, and before that, a little bit of high power rifle competition. I shot for a shooting team. M1 is one of those offshoots of the civilian marksmanship program. And then, of course, before that, there was 6 years active duty infantry. So the experience came before the knowledge and the know-how.
And I don't mean this, I don't think it'll come off insulting, but I guess all your formal training is from the government then, basically?
And experience. Like a lot of this training, like I've had to adapt because, like, okay, let's take for example, when I was a private in the Army, this is like 2004, the Iraq invasion was in full swing, man. And
how old are you now?
And I show up to this infantry battalion and I've got, this Jack Swole specialist, he's showing us CQB in the barracks. And this dude, and I'm not faulting him for it. This is just doctrinally how things evolve as time goes on. We were told, everywhere we point a rifle, our eyes follow. Now let's talk about the rule of economy, man. Like, and you are a machine gun manufacturer. You price out thousands of rounds of ammunition. Let's speak in economy. We know that letting the eyes see first and then bringing the gun to what our eyes see is a much more economical movement than what that combat season Spec 4 taught me as a little 20-year-old private nobody. So that's kind of an example of how, yes, we have to adapt training, and like there is a select demographic of people with substantial amounts of combat experience. That is kind of, in my eyes, or as the way I perceive it, is kind of what grants them the authority to adapt out of old doctrine. Like, let's take a 3 to 5 second rush. Okay. I've definitely done 3 to 5 second rushes across 700 meters of open, snowy terrain in training. Did I do that in combat? Fuck no. I ran like the fucking devil himself was behind me. Because why the fuck am I going to lay in the prone in the middle of a goddamn, you're still a target. Like, quit dividing it by time and get the fuck to cover. That's what it is. So that is, yet again, another adaptation of training where people can chastise me. They can chastise me for not getting down every 3 fucking seconds. That's fine. Y'all have never moved under direct fire trying to get a machine gun in place in a fucking valley where the valley walls are up. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'll take that criticism every fucking day of the week.
Right.
Yeah,
Shove
okay.
it up your ass.
I
got other shit I'm doing. Right. That's exactly it, man. And so it is guys who have substantial combat experience. And like, again, and we're recording, so like this is one for the record for you from me. It doesn't always have to be a fucking special guy, man. It doesn't have to be a special operations forces like you've seen the meme where the SF guy prones out and kills an enemy combatant wearing Solomons and he's got a beard. And now an infantryman does the exact same thing. Everybody goes nuts for the guy in the Solomon. To what effect, man? And I'll make the distinguishment, and I'm not like trying to discredit any other professional warfighter with this. The way the task organization is for special operations versus regular line infantry units, spend a much larger amount of time outside the wires. So like, whereas like, and this is just an example where an SOF unit might have a 3-month rotation, I personally have had a 16-month rotation. That's wow. Right. And so that's 16 months on the clock in a hostile, non-permissive environment. And somehow this kind of experience, it gets discredited because what label isn't in front of it, right? You're dismissing the fucking combined knowledge of eons of combat experience with that.
I've got so many fucking directions I want to go with this. So do you find you have to, this is kind of a business question, I guess. Do you have to sell yourself, or do you just kind of let it word of mouth? Or, I mean,
you know what? And I'm sure the same thing goes with you that you've seen. I'm not sure how long you've been a machine gun manufacturer, but which is pretty fucking dope. But dang, I lost my train of thought right now. Can you repeat?
You'll find I do that a lot. No big deal. We can move on, man. I was
no.
just,
can you repeat the inquiry again, man? I've got a goldfish mind, bro.
I was wondering, like, do you have to sell that speech? Basically, you just gave me I've done all this. I don't have the fucking Navy SEAL title in front of me, but this is why I know what the fuck I'm doing. Do you have to sell that all the time, or is that?
No. Usually word of mouth is rock solid within my following. So, and like, honestly, in the last couple months, I've gotten a couple thousand followers, and I've never been like a high follower count type of page or anything like that, but they're loyal followers. Like,
dude. Yeah.
Right. Like they're
I totally get that.
Right. They're organically gained.
And them motherfuckers will stick with you too. I mean, if you're just not a total fucking dickhead to them, which I say that because I am a dickhead to a lot of my followers, and they're still fucking in there.
This is an example of leadership, man. You can still be compassionate and be hard. Right.
But no, that's great. And I've noticed that. And one thing I wanted to get in with you, and I'm going to guess you're the same way, but you tell me. So like, we talked to Tony Cowden, we talked to Jerry from Triple Feed. Anybody that is running a business, and I would assume it's any business, but let's just say the industry that we're in. And I'm the exact same way. Like, I try to follow you and, countless other people. I don't have time to watch your lives. I don't have time.
Content, dude.
I mean, are you the same way?
Right, dude. Like, I get sent all these videos like from all these different sources, and I'm like, dude, you guys do not understand. I only have so much time in a day, and like, I'm so busy trying to work on my own content that I very rarely have the time to watch the YouTube video that you sent me, or what was the military operation a couple years ago that everybody lost their fucking minds over. And I'm getting YouTube videos sent to me in the middle of the night. I just don't have time. Like, the only notifications. The only notifications I can keep on my phone are my text messages. That's it.
7 years ago, 10 years ago, I mean, I loved watching YouTube and all that shit, research, and I love researching stuff. I'm that kind of a analytical mindset, I guess. But I'm the same way. And so I had a feeling that you would be the same way. And so my point to all that is, I try to really follow you, and like I said, several other people, and I get bits and pieces, but I don't get very much. But I have noticed, because our mutual friend is how I found out about you. And I think when I first got to your page, I'm not so sure you didn't have like 800 followers or something.
I was probably under 1,000.
That wasn't too awfully long ago.
Right. It exploded.
Your page is growing nicely.
Right. I'm pretty happy with this. And like, all this, like, I've never had this much direct influence on people before in my life. And as long as I can do that to kind of cultivate something good, then that is fucking awesome.
And when you say that, do you mean, I'm trying to think how I want to word this. you say, I've never had this much direct influence over people. Do you mean the amount of people or the amount of influence? Or both?
That's a good question, man. By sheer numbers as an audience, this is the most I've ever interacted with and been able to influence in a positive direction, because you can have 1,000 horses in front of you. Not all of them are going to drink water. All of these horses drink water.
Now that makes sense. And I obviously I hope you continue to grow and have success. And I've had a couple bigger pages that have been deleted, and I don't want this to sound like I'm trying to be prophetic or any bullshit like that. But with that being said, when you get, I think I had 13,000 some followers on the original page, and
right.
I didn't have issues with it. Don't get me wrong, but I did find that you have to be a little careful.
I'm very
not everybody knows
button,
you're a fucking dumb hillbilly that likes to joke around. You know what I mean?
Right.
And shit will get taken wrong, and it spreads. Everything spreads quicker the more followers you got and all that. But that's probably a story subject for another day.
Hey, you know what? Bad publicity works sometimes too. Whenever it's shot off the bow like that.
Right.
A lot of times we don't have any control over that. Like, I've run into it before. Like people will see the way I look, and they're like, "What the fuck do you know about anything?" And I'm like, "Actually, no, more than you and the next 10 guys." Like,
and, right. I know this for a fact that a lot of people resonate to you. I'm just gonna say, you're a fucking weird looking dude. You know what I mean? Compared to the average fucking businessman Joe guy out there.
Honestly, all of this body modification, I don't believe that it's hurt me at all.
Well, no, let me finish. So they see you, and I'm going to use me as an example. I see it, I'm like, holy shit, fucking face tattoos and shit. I mean, okay, I don't care, but I don't know.
Right.
That's just not me. And, I like tats, but it's like, whoa, this guy's fucking hardcore. But I think there's a lot of people like that are similar, but they resonate to you because you're genuine as fuck and you're passionate as fuck. And that's what I think a lot of people that follow me for. I don't think they like a lot of the shit I do, or, even stuff that I post, but it's me. It's not anything I'm trying to put off that I'm not. And I know I am attracted to your page because of that, because I feel like, this dude doesn't give a fuck. He is what he is, and he's gonna do what he wants.
People who bend their character to appeal to everybody, there's a serious fucking problem right there. I'm not here to appeal to the whole crowd, just the right portion of this crowd. That's it. The people who are gonna listen, man. Like I'm real quick. What's that? Go for it. Sorry.
No, I was just say I jump around a lot when I find a segue into something that I know that I want to touch on, and you kind of brought it up about the tattoos, the body modifications, all that. Why?
Well, it took quite a few. To be honest, it took quite a few sessions in therapy with a mental health trauma counselor to figure out what this is going on. There was a period of my life after the military where I didn't feel very highly of myself at all. And it took, I remember this day, this therapist was like, have you ever considered that all of this body modification might be an act of self-harm? And I'm like, like, I couldn't fucking believe the agonizing truth that this chick.
So like the light bulb went off?
Fuck. I'm like, oh man. I said, I might have done this out of self-loathing. But it is a very fucking cool scar to do out of self-loathing. So, you know what, man? the dude who is responsible for most of this, he's on Instagram. His name is Rob Ferrer, and he is a
I think I followed him just recently from a post that you had.
Yeah, and he was in my battalion from 2009 to 10. Yeah, so we actually served together, and you know, he worked in a couple different tattoo shops in Phoenix, and I kind of just hung around and managed. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you like, I actually run my business very similarly to a tattoo service or any other salon service out there, whether it be nails or hair. I actually operate very similarly to that because that is the side of the business world that I was brought up in.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Right. So, but it is what it is. It works for me.
You know, and I get people asking me, I don't have a ton of tattoos, but whenever I get another one, they're like, why'd you get that? Why'd you get that? Is there like some deep hidden meaning behind it? And, you know, some of them, there's a little bit more of that than what there is. And other ones, I just like the fucking image. But so I see a lot of the just solid black on you. Is that covering shit up?
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those out with the old, in with the new. You outgrow tattoos and flavors, and you know, I had seen some solid black pieces where they take whites and opaques like purple and stuff like that, and they run over top of the black, and it honestly looks really good. So this was a way for me to take a very large cover up and turn it into a second rendition in a totally different piece of art. And the same thing, like you just said, is everybody wants there to be like some sort of meaning behind the face value of the tattoo. It's fucking body art, bro. I'm doing this so I have more curb appeal to the opposite sex, largely. That is why. So I look more attractive.
So what, and you know, I told you earlier, if there's shit you don't want to go into, tell me to shut the fuck up and we'll go on something else. But you know, what made it go up to the head and the forehead and
I had to have more than the next guy.
So like, that was that not like in the self, what did you call it?
Like I think that entire phase of my life was some sort of phase of invalidity within myself, not having purpose after the military. And does this mean that I didn't, you know, try to hide from my shit in the bottom of a bottle, or other drugs? Or no, I absolutely did that too. So there was a very large degree of self-harm going on during that whole phase of my life. Now, you know, like, yep, I kind of chose to feel sorry for myself for a few years because I didn't have purpose and I couldn't find it or create it. I saw that one, by the way.
But you got me.
Yeah. Well, and you know what, man? I had a guy, Late Night Creeps is his screen name, _ Late Night Creeps. He had dropped me a line when Instagram was new. And he said, hey man, I just picked up this AR-15. You think you could show me a thing or two? So Anthony, I met up with him, and that was the very first time I ever taught a civilian how to shoot. All right. And right there, I found purpose. I found a way to dig myself out of this fucking self-loathing hole that I spent so much fucking time digging, in teaching, in cultivating practical knowledge in people, even and especially civilian shooters.
So again, and I've kind of alluded to this before in other episodes we've done, you know, I've been in that shitty hole that, you know, you try to dig out of it. Just, I mean, depression is what it was.
Super, if it doesn't happen to a man, you're not living.
Right. And so then once I kind of, and I had to do a lot of therapy, like you said, a lot of counseling, therapy, whatever you want to call it, to help me get out of it. And I'm a really firm believer that had I not done that, I'd either be dead or in prison right now.
Ooh, I don't believe in coincidences, and that is a saying that I actually tell people is I would be dead or in prison if I didn't have the fucking initiative to admit that I might have a fucking issue someplace that needs to be addressed, or I am going to lose my fucking whole ass life.
And, you know, in that whole process, and I'm still fucked up. Don't get me wrong. I still need to go get a tune-up every once in a while. But I'm in such a much better place than I was before that I almost feel, and I hate to use this word, but I don't know what other word to use. I almost feel a responsibility to not necessarily try and help other people that might be struggling, but almost kind of seek them out. You know, if you see somebody that's struggling, or
if it's somebody that you can help.
Yeah, because like you said, you've got to fucking do it yourself. You've got to have that initiative. There's no fucking doubt about that. But I know what it's like, fucking not wanting to get out of bed in the morning and just hating everything. And it's not good. It's not healthy, and I hate to see other people suffer through that. So I don't know. Do you ever feel that way at all? Like you just want to try and help people?
Yeah, no. Like sometimes I can get like in such a hole that like I'm neglecting to do basic things like go to the fucking grocery store rather than go outside because I just want to stay on my own property. I don't want to see another human being. So I'm super introverted, man. Like absolutely introverted. And that doesn't like, it's comfortable, but it also doesn't feed into any sort of like when you have like a psychological, what is the word I'm looking for? Where you kind of dip a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Right. And how like what we would call a bout of depression. And I hate that like these terms have such like a negative cultural stigma attached to them, man. Like a dude isn't allowed to be depressed. A dude isn't allowed to like dudes really got it tough in mental health, in the mental health field. I know this. Like most mental health and therapy is geared towards women.
No, absolutely. And that negative connotation, like you said, it really fucking pisses me off. Because I was 100% that guy of I don't fucking need therapy. Fuck you. Right. I'm not gonna go sit and talk to some fucking head doctor and let her get in my brain, number one, or number two, make me talk about feelings, you know. And my wife is the one that saved my life, I think, because I asked her what she wanted for her Christmas present one year. And she asked for me to go to therapy. And it was like, at the time, it was like, yeah, you're the one that needs fucking therapy. You know,
right. You're just like, what? Like, are you like, yeah.
But I'm like, it's on the other hand, I was like, man, if she feels, you know, that passionate about it,
and I'll do it for her. To say it.
Right. And then I'll do it for her was my thinking. And I did do it for her. But, you know, I stayed in it, and then it was for me, obviously, to be for her as well. But
it quickly becomes apparent how much it needs to be for you, and it being for her comes as a secondary thing.
And for me, after a fucking hour, 60 minutes of fucking therapy, it kicked my fucking ass almost every single time, to the point where I was exhausted, just felt like dog shit, probably been crying, you know, whatever.
Right.
But the next day, it was like, oh, it's a little bit brighter outside. You know, I know it gives me the focus of what I need to focus on, and the tools to fix that shit.
Well, and here's the way I look at it, man. Like, you do open heart surgery in a trauma setting, that's going to fucking hurt as a patient, right? Well, significant trauma, in order to fix it, is going to fucking hurt. And cognitively processing a traumatic event and the ways that it affects your life, it should actually absolutely take you to an emotional rock bottom on default. and then you come back from it. And so that's what I'm saying is trauma surgery is never painless.
You can liken it to the whole getting real fat over the course of 10 years and then get on a diet and, you know, 6 months down the road, I'm not fucking skinny yet. Well, no shit. It took you a long fucking time to get fat. It's going to take you a while to get skinny too. But, and another, I just want to throw this in there. My own personal belief and feeling, as hard as it may be to get to a therapist, whether you talk yourself into it or somebody coerces you into it or whatever, that therapist may not be the one.
Right.
I mean, you might want to go get a second opinion somewhere. And
if you're doing this right, it's my firm belief that you should go through a couple of therapists like underwear. As a de facto thing, man. And the same thing you said, when we get a cancer diagnosis from a doctor, we generally go to 2 other doctors to get a second and third opinion, right? Same thing goes with if you're not car knowledgeable. You and I know cars, and we can do that stuff, and we don't need second and third opinions. But the fact of the matter still stands. Other people do that.
And I hate that too, because a lot of times it is so hard just to get to that very first fucking session. And, you know, you may get fucking lucky, and you're going to have to go to a couple of them at least with that same one before you can make the determination that they're batshit crazy and you're not, because that's likely not the case. But yeah, it's just an added fucking pain in the ass to it all.
The first step is always, in my opinion, the first step is always the hardest, man. Journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, dude.
One foot in front of the other.
Exactly, man. And this whole life thing is an ongoing growth deal until we stop growing, which you know what the other side of that is.
Right. So, and again, I don't want to get personal with you, but I am curious, you know, I'm trying to think how I want to say this. Before you went into the military, growing up, you know, did that create a lot of the trauma that, you know, you had to work on in therapy, or was it majority based in the service, what you fucking went through getting shot at?
I am a survivor of childhood sexual trauma and neglect, and physical abuse, man. And what the biggest problem was me not acknowledging it as a problem for 30 plus fucking years. Can I interrupt you? Is that the man thing of shoving it down in the fucking pit and closing it off and saying, all right, that's fucking taken care of? Yeah. And and then it shows itself in other ways. Like, perpetrators of the majority of my childhood trauma are women. Okay. So needless to say, empathizing. You're gonna have a skewed outlook. Yeah, right. Like, empathizing with women can be a little bit difficult for me. And I can very much exhibit my trauma response where this person is an aggressor. Now, flash forward, I'm a combat infantryman. When you appear to be a trauma, or you appear to be a threat to somebody like me, that is a huge fucking recipe for bad stuff. And now on top of this, I'm a firearms instructor. If I lose my cool once and I have a domestic thing, and you know, I get hooked up on some domestic violence charges, even if I didn't do anything, and even if I just found that crazy of a chick, my career is over. I have to walk away. Like, now you're jeopardizing something I've devoted my entire existence to. Like, I can't be anything else. Like, this started at adolescence by joining the military. And so I have to safeguard that at all costs. At all costs. I can't ever let it get to that point where, you know, blows are being thrown or things are getting fucking thrown. Like, I have to leave. And then I have to cool down. And that's fucking tough to do. Right. Well, and like, dude, this is gonna sound so, it's gonna sound so rainbow, man. Mindfulness, bro. Mindfulness. Like, dudes hear this word and they're like, what? You want me to meditate? And I'm like, look. You don't have to call it meditation. I want you to slow down and do an emotional inventory. That's all I'm asking. Do an inventory of how you feel. If you can't identify how you feel, chances are you're defaulting to a default emotion that has guaranteed your survival in past traumatic experiences. And for an infantryman, that's anger and violence. Right. So if you can't identify this, then you got some work to do. You got to be able to identify whatever it is you're feeling in order to address it and manage it. Right.
Everything you just said is fucking solid gold. And it takes somebody like you or whomever to be able to break it down in that kind of way to where idiots like me can understand it. You know what I mean?
Guy makes machine guns. He's not an idiot. Just saying.
So I'm just, and I could go on and on, but I'm fascinated by the experiences that I've been through and the highs, lows, ups, downs, and just hearing like a smidgen of your story and how you cope with it and what you've got to do to take care of yourself and, you know, and different aspects of your life. Yeah. When you say you've got to stop and assess the situation, basically, that's fucking hard to do sometimes. I mean, it's tough for me, at least.
I tell dudes to equate it to a security halt for the mind. You're going to
say
stop
that one more time.
It's a security halt for the mind. You're going to stop. You're going to take a knee, not literally, but you're going to figuratively take a knee on the side of the road, and you're going to stop, look, listen, smell. You're going to take a conscious inventory of all the stimuli you see around you. That is an act of mindfulness, and that is something the military does do. People just got to be able to draw these parallels that they're not too far off from each other.
Yeah. Like I said, and I don't want to beat the dead horse, but, you know, for me, when I get angry and get to that level of anger, it just makes it harder and harder for me to stop. But like you said, it has to be done, or, you know, and I'm in a similar boat, not the same, but I do something fucking retarded and get a felony. I no longer have an FFL.
Right.
You
well,
know?
Check it out. The very first time that we stop ourselves and do that inventory, it sets a precedent, because this is a new action or response that we're associating with a perceived trauma. This is the very first time that you've ever attempted to write a different response for this trauma stimuli that appears. So the first time you do it, it's fucking hard. And then the second time you do it, it's a little bit easier. The third time you do it, I catch myself all the time, brother. I catch myself. I'm like, wow, if that were 4 years ago, I would have murdered this guy. Like, and I know.
And
right.
I get it. I do. And I still, I slip up, you know. I mean, I'm not going to say I fucking nail it every time.
I throw shit. I fucking threw a set of night vision one time while I was in the Army. I shouldn't have done that. I was a little bit heated, bro. Like I line all these dudes up to inspect their tie downs on their night vision, because I don't want anybody to lose night vision, at least not under my responsibility. And
that's the guy that throws it.
This fucking guy brings me a goddamn set of nods with nothing on it. And I turned and I threw it into some mud. And my platoon sergeant saw me, and he's like, Sergeant Williams, come here. I'm like, fuck, well, I deserve this one. I shouldn't have done that. You're right.
And, you know, I faced those consequences too, where like, well, I have to apologize every so often, and I don't like doing it, but when
I might
know
have been a tad bit of a dick.
Yeah. And I when I have to make that phone call or, personal appearance and be like, hey, so I'm a fucking moron. I fucked up bad, I mean, it is what it is, and I am truly sorry. That's fucking hard to do. And that resonates for a long time to help me prevent not doing it again. But I still slip
a little
up.
bit. Sorry. Lessons stick a little bit better when they sting.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, brother.
No, you're good. No, I just, like I said, you try to avoid all those situations, and there are times when, my fucking mouth writes a check my ass shouldn't be cashing, and here we are apologizing.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm not saying either, man. Like, I can be in the middle of a live, and like somebody can ask me a question that's so fucking stupid that I think that like they're trying to troll me, but they honestly don't know any better. And like I ostracize them immediately, and I'm real poisonous about it. But then like 15 seconds later, I'm like, look, my bad, bro. I didn't really take a second to look at that from your point of view, only mine. And I have to apologize, actually. And I've actually created some pretty good friendships by, coming back and saying like, look, I might have been a dick. And I'm not going to say that I wasn't. So we're moving forward.
It is what it is. And so can we move on and help you figure out whatever it is that you're trying to figure out? And that fucking hits me hard, dude, because anybody that follows me, I'm real quick to be a fucking dickhead and call people retarded faggots or whatever.
Lightning fast.
Yeah. And it usually takes me a little bit longer than 15 seconds, but eventually I'll be like, yeah, maybe not the appropriate response. And I've reached out to him too. And it's amazing how many good people you can find to get along with when you sit and take the time to
be an agreeable person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever read into like Napoleon Hill's stuff?
Years ago.
Okay. Well, in there he had mentioned that there was no mortal sin in just taking a moment to think before we speak. Do I exercise this as often as I should? But I've found that there have been occasions where I take a deliberate pause before responding to somebody, and they're like, come on, what are you? I'm like, hold on. And I can form a more intelligible and agreeable response instead of throttling them around the fucking neck with my words.
Well, and I think what I'm gonna lump you into this because I'm assuming you're in the same position, but I don't know how many fucking messages you get a day, but I get hundreds and hundreds of messages, emails, whether it's a DM, an email, a voicemail, a text, whatever. And I get in that habit of trying to respond as quick as possible to get to the next one.
You stress yourself out.
Yeah, and that's when a lot of that fucking, what are you, fucking retarded?
Yeah, it's like you're in charge of the show. Answer when it's feasible for you. Like, and sometimes I have to remind myself that. And you actually brought up a good point that I haven't really paid too much attention to, is that my phone can stress me out.
Oh yeah.
Right. But that's my fault. I let it stress me out. And sometimes I just want to throw it out.
I've got to take breaks. Yeah, I got to take breaks from it.
Sometimes I want to drive down the river and fucking throw it in. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's every fucking day, man.
Yeah.
I've tried to leave it at home on multiple occasions, and I do. Let's say I get to work at 7 a.m. and I leave the phone at home because number one, I've got a lot of shit I need to get done. And number two, I just need that break from it. And then what I find I do is by 11 o'clock, noon, getting ready for lunch, I'm stressed out so bad knowing that I'm going to have so much to go back and fucking get to.
A land.
But I think it's doing more harm than good at that point. But yeah, you do gotta take a break.
Yeah, man, I'm the same way. Like I'll head out into the mountains in the woods, and I'll be gone for a few days, and like I know that the second I hit reception again, somebody's fucking world is somehow fucking falling apart without my fucking words in them. Right. I just have to.
And I know you're being overly dramatic about
fine.
it. Right. You get that feeling.
Right.
And you want to be able to fucking help. You do. It's just
exactly. Can't always.
It's
help.
fucking tough.
You gotta live your life.
So, kind of staying on the mental health topic, but switching gears. I had mentioned to you before, and I may have already brought it up in this episode. I don't remember. I think we talked about it off camera too, but no, I think I did talk to you about it. Anyways, I don't get to follow you as much as I'd like to, or pay attention to the stuff, but
that's a good.
I have seen that you are pretty open about, at least compared to most past service members, you're open to talking about your experiences while you were overseas and in all the shit. And where a lot of guys just don't want to fucking even go anywhere near that. It seems like you're pretty fucking.
So here's the deal. What this Trojan horse really is, when I write, is cognitive process therapy.
For you?
Right. It's for me. It's just that my followers get to read it. It's for me to process the things that, and once I get it on paper, man, like I'm just at a lot more peace with things. And I hope that by being transparent about my experiences, it's a given, it lends to credibility, but I hope that other people can also feel like it's okay to talk. No matter what the deal was. Is because not everything that happens like in the military is combat stuff. I've seen quite a bit of sexual assault and stuff like that in the military. And like I personally, the owner, I served with the owner of Spiritus Systems, Adam. I was attached to his sniper team as a machine gunner in the Korengal Valley. Now, one of his subordinate guys in his team, Barnes, he had gone to a different unit after the Korengal Valley, and at this unit, they had drugged him and raped him. Now this guy gets out of the military and agrees not to say anything to the Army Times because he doesn't want to tarnish the Army's image. This guy ended up killing himself, ODing on drugs, as his own mother found him dead in his bed. Now, this is a result of military sexual trauma, which carries actually a little bit more stigma than just seeking help for combat-related incidents. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not sure where I was initially headed with that.
It was just being open about talking about stuff, and and maybe it kind of falls along the same lines of what we spoke about earlier of, having gone through shit, you want to be able to help other people that are going through shit, or at least let them know there's a way to get through this.
Well, and like one of my followers, he came on to, I did a live in the middle of a goddamn wheat field up in Washington State, okay? And one of my followers, one of my dudes, he was like, man, like in the live session, he's like, I got a DUI last night. Every single motherfucker in this room said, look, dude, do not get down over this. Like, yes, you feel like shit today, but you are only moving up from here. And like, it was real cool to see an automatic tending to this dude when he is arguably at one of the lowest points ever, right there at that point. He's faced with DUI charges, and he's looking at least $10,000 taken from his family's plate. But check it out. It's not the end of the world. I've been here before. Like, I've got 2 DUI charges myself that I pled down to reckless driving, just by the sheer grace of God, man. I've been there before, like been on the side of the road in handcuffs, fucking it up because I'm out there choosing to act like this. But
seeing the community jump in and lift this dude up is so fucking, it's so fulfilling for me, you know, when you get in a situation like that. And I said this before, but I tell a lot of people, you know, as critical and as much of an asshole as I am of a lot of people and a lot of different shit, I truly do enjoy, you know, people coming together rather than being wolves and going in for the kill on a poor bastard that, you know, is already behind the 8 ball.
Everybody's out here looking for somebody to attack, man. Nobody's helping anybody out here. Nobody's doing, like, in motherfuckers, like in our industry, they fucking safeguard knowledge because it secures their fucking position, man. Well, I'm not going to do that. So.
And I love that. And I've learned so much from so many different guys that kind of share our viewpoint on this. You know, industry secrets or whatever the case may be in whatever line of work you're in. For me, it's, you know, it's guns, it's painting guns. And I'm real fucking proud of the work I do on painting guns, and I'm fucking cocky about it. And I talk shit about it because the product's there, you know what I mean? You're looking at it. But guys will message me every time I do it. I know I'm fucking asking for a bunch of DMs. They're like, man, how do you get, you know, the line so clean, whatever. And Sawyer, who's not here right now, he's helped me a ton, because if a guy's cool, you know, and I'm not worried about anybody competing with me, fuck it, whatever, there's enough money out there.
There's enough industry for all of us.
But he's a guy sincerely trying to better his craft, and it's not like it's hiding the cure for cancer, you know what I mean? It's fucking laying down paint. Yeah, I could teach a monkey to do it if I had enough time to do it. So I always try to be really, you know, responsible. And I know I'm not a lot, because I either don't get to the fucking message or get sidetracked or whatever. But yeah, there's no sense in fucking. I worked hard to get all that info, you know. I mean, I put in the hours and I lost a lot of fucking money doing it. But
it's not the sole thing that makes you great at what you're doing. Right. And that is the disparagement that these other guys can't see, man. You can still be great without safeguarding jack fucking shit.
Right.
And that's part of what actually makes you great, is that you don't have to safeguard shit. There's thousands of other combat vets out there. I'm just one slice of the pie, man.
But going back to that, Korengal Valley, that's a fucking shithole, right? I mean, that's like a very renowned, and I don't know enough about it to really speak intelligently, but I've heard that name, and what little I've read or heard or whatever is, you know, a lot of people went there to die. Basically, am I right in saying that?
Statistically, you had a very high chance of being killed, or either so fucked up that you're not going to live a normal life. If I remember the numbers correctly, I think there were 29 Purple Hearts for my entire platoon, and a platoon generally isn't more than like 32 to 36 dudes.
Jesus Christ.
Right. And I'm one of the dudes that never got a Purple Heart. I'm there for the full roadie, to max capacity, to the max ability of my fucking duty scope. And this is like where combat leaders start falling, and they start getting, you know, fucked up in medevac, and you have the younger guys step up. And so I'm stepping up from being a saw gunner, which is an automatic rifleman, to being a medium machine gunner and a weapons squad leader, all in the same swoop, because that's what we got. Now, and I spent 14 months straight there. This is, sometimes there can be contact up to 5 times a day, direct fire contact.
That's what I was going to ask you. And I know you're not, when you talk about it, you're not talking like, yeah, I'm a fucking hard ass, I went through this shit. You're speaking of what it was. And I love that. And that's what I was going to ask you, you know, on a daily basis, you said up to 5 times a day.
It can be up to 5 times a day, yeah. Depending on how they feel and the time of the year and stuff like that. It all divvies up, man. Like they usually, usually nothing will happen to you during Ramadan, but following Ramadan, it's on.
John's joining us. John
Hey,
is
John.
A struggling taxidermist.
Nice, man. Nice to meet you.
So John, we kind of fill you in. I don't know what you've been doing, but we're going over a lot of mental health shit, and just, you know how we do, we go from one thing to another, but it's been a pretty interesting conversation so far. But so he was telling us about being in, and I'm gonna fuck it up, Corrigal.
Yeah,
Corrigal Valley.
Yeah.
And that's a nasty fucking place to be. But
Bunk, they got whole movies about that place. Like, get with it, Pard.
I know.
What's that? I have to apologize in advance. I have significant hearing loss in both of my ears, and I didn't charge my hearing aids because I didn't plan ahead like an idiot.
Okay, actually, I'd like to say thank you, because having watched you, I've often wondered if you had hearing damage just in your speech patterns and whatnot. When I watch some of your lives, I mean, I've clued in and watched enough of you to. Thanks for answering that question.
Yeah. It's all them high frequencies, you know. SPG-9 recoilless rifle is the loudest fucking thing I've ever heard.
So after getting fucking attacked 5 times a day, how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that? You know, short term and long term. I mean, like when you're there and you get fucking hammered on, are you just on edge constantly, or?
No, man. And I don't know if either of you have, like, I haven't read the book, but from my understanding, that book On Combat kind of addresses adrenal fatigue. I can outline it for you guys the way I experience it, because you cannot go through that frequency of fight or flight response and continue to operate, man. The word for this, I believe, is synopsis, where it happens so often that you stop exhibiting that adrenaline dump and that fight or flight response, and it becomes a normality to you. So now I'm actually technically hardwired for combat once that stops happening. So that, you take me out of my environment. I spent 26 months solid in a fucking combat zone, and it's in some of the most landmark battles of Afghanistan. Now you take me and you put me back here. No shit, I'm gonna feel like a fucking fish out of water, man. No,
you are the freak that they created,
right? Exactly. So fucking, God forbid, I need a couple years to kind of reconcile. So it's all right.
Let me ask you this, because you come to our podcast here, and I'm sorry I'm late, guys. I was tied up with a little bit of work there.
Yeah, you're good.
You know, a big part of what I watch and what you stress, which I think is key, I can shoot a rifle. Give me a gun, I can damn sure, whether we want to go, am I running around playing tactical? No. But no. Can I just knock shit out all day? I often wonder why we don't see more people preparing themselves for the mental battle that, should this great, call it the fucking boogaloo, the fucking end of the world, whatever it is. I often question how many people in society are actually ready to, whoa.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
I forgot to plug in my phone, which I have my charger right here. All right, we're good. We're back in business.
I often wonder how many people are actually ready to contemplate that neighbor that I didn't like that much. Now I'm going to have to smoke his wife and him, just because that's how it is today. The mental side of shit is what I see so many people that I think you can learn the muscle memory skills of running and gunning.
Right.
But that mental side of shit is a whole different fucking ballgame.
You know what, man, you're exactly right. There is a very large difference between the mechanical components of marksmanship versus having the fucking heart when it's our 70 and you're pulling security and having a fucking conversation with a fucking rock because you think it is your teammate. Like, that's your gut check right there. Now, if you want a litmus test on whether or not we think that people are ready for this, look how many people flipped the fucking script once their job got threatened. Once their federal job got threatened. Now
they stocked up on fucking toilet paper.
Right. Like,
of all the shit.
This is one of the most defanged and declawed versions of humanity I've had the displeasure of seeing. Don't misconstrue me on that. You guys are familiar with, and sorry if I'm a little bit loud. Again, my volume is all jacked
No,
up.
louder the better. Go for it.
No, we like it. We yell at each other. It's fucking perfect.
Are you guys familiar with the behavioral sync experiments they performed on mice? I believe it was in the 70s. No,
this is where you were way smarter than us.
Okay, so I'm gonna give the layman's breakdown. These scientists in the social experiment, they take a habitat and they put 36 mice in it of varying, genetic upbringings or whatever. Now, they also, with this habitat, they take away the 7 Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're not being challenged by nature for food, competitive reproduction, safety from predators, clean shelter, water. All of these things are provided for them. Now, the stuff that ultimately happened to these mice, they exploded from a population of 36, and they went all the way up to, I believe it was like 2,200. And then every single fucking one of them died. So what the fuck happened? So they theorized that over the course of generations within this habitat, by not being challenged by nature, by adversity, that's a key word, that these mice lost at a genetic level their privilege to be mice, like the genetic traits that, like, you, and we can get further into this, into like socioeconomic stuff and things like that at a later date. But that's what I mean by defanging and declawing. These mice were ineffectual. They were lame. That is why the ability to fight, it should be one of the most, like, people don't understand how fucking important conflict is and the art of it. It's almost, in my eyes, it's almost constituent to human existence and for the human race to thrive.
And I couldn't agree more. I mean, wholeheartedly 100%. And I can liken it back to fucking caveman days. How did they survive?
Adversity.
And killing shit and fighting off enemies, whether it be man or fucking saber-toothed tiger,
Right.
You said it well.
On that note, how important do you think conflict de-escalation really is? Being able to be, you and me are in a heated argument and being able to know when to walk it back or when to fucking read the cues and go, fuck it, I'm swinging first.
Right. Like, there's got to be, it really depends on the context, but conflict avoidance, mark my words, is what has gotten us where we're at, is not approaching it. So, like, I don't know, man, years ago, I saw a resume, man, and this dude had said in the resume, he said, I am comfortable with conflict in the workplace. I would have hired him.
Okay.
I would have fucking hired his ass. Where these people were like, oh no, we can't have somebody like that. No, fuck no. That's a fucking leader. I would have hired him. But I don't know, just a little slightly related snippet I figured I'd share with both of y'all.
Now, you also made a post the other day, and I like a lot of what you talk about, because appreciate the fact that you say, here's my gun. It is what it is. And you don't show me you fucking shooting 3 holes in a fucking piece of paper at 10 feet twice a fucking week. Like, not interested. Right. You made a post about, you know, when the suit's on and the fucking chemicals are fucking all around you. And that rang true to me. I've got an uncle that is stationed high enough up. He lives on Coronado Island. He's been doing bad shit for a long time. And he told me, he said, you really figure out who the men are when you're 3 days in a chem suit and the shit is squishing in your boots and you don't have a fucking choice but to keep her sealed up and continue on.
Yeah, man.
That's the kind of stuff that I truly wonder how many people in society would be prepared to do. I mean, you look, people don't like eating leftovers, let alone digging out of trash.
Circumstance is pretty good about facilitating initiative. That food in the trash starts to look pretty fucking good after hour 96 of not fucking eating. And a lot of these people don't have a fucking ketchup packet in the cupboard to eat in the event of. So everybody's got this whole at home, you know, they shelter in place or anything. But guess who doesn't have a plan? Your fucking neighbor. And it might come to a time I had read a short story. It was called 3 Days to Animal, and it theorized that 72 hours was all it took for morality to completely exit the window. And I'm talking about people eating human beings. That serious. And I believe it, man. Because they've never had to prepare in advance for anything like that, or any sort of deficiency or shortcoming in the supply chain logistics of our country.
Yeah. I have a short list that I like to keep where I wonder, you know, do you know how to make chlorine gas with common household items? I mean, it really wouldn't be hard to kill, 10,000 people at materials found at Home Depot. I probably shouldn't say that on a podcast, but fuck it, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Do you know how to break in? Do you know how to break into a gas pump and force the pump to fucking pump fuel with linked 12-volt batteries? It's doable, but these are the skills.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's totally doable. But these are the skills that I often wonder: am I fucking crazy for figuring out how to do these things, or is this really where we may be?
This is the way I look at it, and we can lump ourselves together. We've either made the best decision we can, or we've made a horrible investment of our time. We're either going to be a god, or we've made a terrible investment of our lives.
So do you think the die's been cast and we're on the path?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you think that die's been cast and that we're just on a path to some form of
I wonder a lot if, and this is me trying to think outside the box, man. I wonder a lot if we've been taught to expect endlessly a breakdown in society while we get negated by the things that we're talking to right now, being social media and our 9-to-5 job I'm not saying all of us are working jobs that we hate. We're ideally working jobs we love, but not everybody is. But that is a negation of somebody's effectiveness. The best enemy to fight is the one that defeats itself. And you're right, man. This ties into everything that you said. No, people are not ready to wear a fucking mop suit for 3 days straight while they stomp around in their own shit. But people can't even fucking conceptualize a gunshot wound, let alone that. Like, I don't know. I've pointed a rifle at people before and them not listen. Now I've got to walk over there and enforce that threat physically.
No, I often think that these whole end of times things is way overblown, because I truly tend to think that society's so fucking soft. Most people are going to crumble into a ball, crawl into their corner, shelter with their loved ones, and just hope that everything magically gets better. I really don't think that if the shit hit the fan, it would be this massive. What was that movie, Rain of Fire, where they were fucking around with the dragons?
Where there's factions everywhere. They're like, dude, if anything gets fucking factioned, it's going to be a fraction of a fucking % of humanity. that because everybody else is going to die. I'm probably going to die. You're probably going to die. Like it's, well, fucking, man, you're right, dude. You're right.
How long have you been out of the service?
Since 2010. So actually some time.
Okay. Now, given your time out of the service and what you have now graced or walked back into society, how many people that you, and I know it's a tough question. I'm asking you to paint with a very broad brush, but I often wonder, I mean, we have one of the, what are we, the second or third largest standing militaries in the world?
Yeah.
How indoctrinated do you feel your fellow soldiers were or are currently, now that you're out and you can look back?
They're all my enemy until they demonstrate otherwise, man. It's guilty until proven innocent, man. I don't give a fuck how good your intentions are. I don't. The manner of how well intentioned you are is not relevant to the fact that you don't fucking get it. You're still on the fucking Kool-Aid. And until you choose to elect to look at it a different way, one that involves you directly, they're never gonna get. So that's my take on it, man. Because I see it all the time, man. You want to see him? Go look at Tim Kennedy's profile and scroll through the comments. So
that's a great fucking great point.
I wasn't gonna go throwing hot shots over the bow, but I think you've got enough time in to do it. Yeah, thank you for that one.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, man. It's a little bit more than vast majority. It's like 98% So,
Bunk, I don't know if you did it yet, and it's turned into one of my favorite sections. Did you 3-gun him yet?
Did I what?
You got 3 guns for the rest of your life. What are they?
Knight's Armament, SR-15, Knight's Armament, SR-25, and a fucking Colt Mark 12 Mod H. That's it. Yeah, they're all 5.56. Oh yeah. Or no,
I like
not all 5.56. I forgot the 25. But the 25, that's going to have to be a 6.5 Creedmoor. I'm really impressed with the performance of that projectile.
Okay, now only because I like it when you fucking chew people's ass up. Are any of them going to potentially have a barrel shorter than 16 inches, or are you just swinging the long stick?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Are any of your barrels going to be shorter than 16 inches, or are you keeping the sword?
I actually have a 13.9 on it, my Knight's Armament. Right. That's cutting it a little. That's cutting it a little close, but obviously this isn't the end of the road for me. The next upper I do is going to be at least an 18-inch rifle length cast. So
223, 5.56,
5.56, yeah.
Okay.
So,
you're not in
you know what, man? Like I run into so many everyday, like, what's the terminology I'm looking for? Your average gun user, right? And there's such a stigma against 5.56. So like I walk around in my day-to-day business, and at some point during my day, I'm going to give a lecture on terminal 5.56 ballistics to somebody because there's a widespread stigma against it because of M855M. And of course, everybody, you want to get me really on a fucking tirade, show me some pictures of some fucking SBR Mark 18s with GPNV, NVG night vision, and I'm going to blow a fucking cork because I run into people like that too. Like I had one guy, this is the most ironic story or hypocritical story from a rando DM I can afford you. I make a comment about, hey, we got to stop doing these 10-inch barrels and lower. And dude DMs me a Mark 18 SBR suppressed with the Pack 15 on it and his fucking night vision. And he's arguing it's good for civvy tactics. It's kind of hypocritical to make a disparagement against distinguishing military and civilian tactics with an SOF replicated firearm. You see the hypocrisy in there, right? Like, so yep, I might crucify you publicly a little bit for coming at me that way. And I do work in vitriol. That is the terminology. I deliver information in a mode of ruthless criticism.
Oh no, you are scorching. You are fucking scorching sometimes. So I knew that's why I felt this would be a good one. This would be a good one. It's interesting because we had another guest on, Tony Cowden, and he had also, I mean, he's been in the shit too. Yeah. And he laughs and makes fun of guys with these night vision goggles on. He said, yeah, I mean, night vision was great until the other guys had it. And then once they had it, we had to completely alter our fucking tactics and go back to playing in the sunshine.
Right.
Yeah, he said, I'll wait until the fucking sun comes up and smoke you from 500 yards or meters or something like that.
Yeah, right. Well, and okay. So IR strobes, everybody's got to have their IR strobe. What the fuck? Do you understand? It's visible to every fucking digital camera in the world, right? What am I talking to you on? A digital fucking camera? You're a fucking idiot. Aside from every aircraft that in the upper atmosphere being able to fucking see that. Sorry, not upper atmosphere, lower atmosphere. So I just think it's a misprioritization. It's a status quo, and everybody wants to impress their fucking friends who also do not know how to shoot for fuck. So I'm probably going to align with Tony Cowden a lot on this subject.
I can't believe you even agreed to come on here and even associate with me after everything you just said.
Yeah, but Bunk, let's be real. You're not fucking doing machine gun dumps, tactical. You're doing machine gun dumps and fucking pit vipers blowing a guard, fucking shooting sideways. Just because you're a fucking hillbilly and it's fun.
Burnouts on 38s. I get it. I like it. I'm a fan too.
You don't, so Marshall, you don't own, or I'm from this conversation, I'm assuming you don't own any guns that are just like total fuck off guns. I wanted it because it's so impractical and retarded.
No, brother,
oh shit, our
in
gun
the last few years,
different.
I have done so much traveling around this whole bitch, around the whole country. I can't fucking afford to bring much more than what I got. And I also can't afford, because I don't have a gun safe either, I also can't afford to leave that much shit. I got to take it all with me. And I'll be damned if, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to leave my $7,000 work rifle any place where I don't have immediate access to it. Otherwise, why the fuck did I invest almost 20 years of my life into knowing how to run that shit like a fucking boss if I don't have it when I fucking need it? So that's what it is. It's the safest place for my guns are with me. That's it.
I love it. Absolutely love it. I don't live it, but I love it.
Hey, you're a manufacturer, Haas. I think you got a little leeway. And I'm pretty sure you don't walk out of the door without at least one on you.
Yeah, I mean you're right there, but
it's different when your entire building is designed to be a safe.
Right. So go ahead, John.
Stepping back a little bit.
Okay.
You 20 years professional gunfighter. It's what you do. Where
it's divvied up a little bit, and it's not quite 20 years.
Sure, no, I get it. You're not. I'm not trying to. I'm just paraphrasing here. How weird, odd, or fish out of water was it for you when you came back and were like, I mean, number one, I'll point it out, man. You look like a fucking freak. I'll just say it. I mean, you do.
I told him he was fucking weird looking or something.
Is what it is. Yeah. The other day you had your fucking shirt off, and I was like, whoa, shit, okay, yeah, you went full fucking bore.
People don't peg me for being a combat vet, if that's what you're wondering. It's
no. So that's what I wonder. How long or how difficult was that assimilation process to actually come back to where you had been, and all of a sudden you've got to come back a totally changed fucking man, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, the world is not the same. The world is just not the fucking same. Once once you see, and like this is, you know, me going, I'm a little bit of a spiritual guy, and psychedelics may or may not have helped me out greatly along the way. That's just my personal opinion, which I'm entitled to. So I'm never going to bridge that gap between the normal world and that side of the human spirit that I experienced.
It's gone.
You have true love, you have true hate. I sometimes, if I can, and this is going to be on the record, I'm sure, sometimes I wish that people could experience just a few seconds of that level of human hate. And they might look at their world a little bit fucking differently. And I say that
totally fucking makes sense to me.
No,
like until you see what the fuck a human is capable of when somebody's fucking head gets staked to the front door of their fucking house for helping Americans, you might look at your world a little bit fucking differently.
Yeah, you can become a little bit more intense after seeing some shit like that, I reckon.
Yeah, you might appreciate things a little bit more.
How much to that? I mean, I've been fortunate. I've traveled. I've third world countries. I've been through them. I backpacked through them. Saw them, boots on the ground, not shiny touristy, in country, seeing cool shit, and seeing really fucked up shit that you realize, like, not my place to step in. This is what the fuck it is here. I'm in a different fucking neighborhood.
Right.
I'm in a different neighborhood and they play by different fucking rules here.
Afghan kids don't get PTSD. Just saying.
Yeah.
And
what's that?
No, I'm trying to figure out how to steer the conversation elsewhere, but so much of what I was excited to talk to you about was exactly this side of shit. There's not a lot of people that are as open and willing and confrontational, for lack of a better word, or just blunt with, hey, look, here's how life really fucking is. This might be how you want it to be.
Right.
But fuck your fairy tale. This is life. And
There's
I
expectation versus reality.
Yeah, no, I definitely appreciate that greatly about your take on things and how you go through things. Part of me wonders, and this is something I'd actually talked to Tony Cowden about on a different deal. You know, I see all these guys doing these long range shooting classes and these tactical classes. Would you have any interest, or are you already? I don't know enough about what you do outside of this. I would actually like to get a group of my close people together with me and do a class on exactly that, on the mental stresses, on what you need to really fucking think about to prepare yourself for should the shit hit the fan. Because small unit tactics, fucking, what do they call that? J-tacking in, fucking calling shit in to get hit. That's not shit I'm really ever that concerned about. I am far more interested in the mind of the warrior, in that, you know, in that Sun Tzu, in that fucking, look, man, guys that have lived through the shit and been there, and what you did to make it out of it, and what you see that can help a guy like me that hasn't been in it. At this point, I'm too fucking old and I don't really have much interest. Would you be willing, or does somebody teach a class like that you think is worthwhile? Is there a way to convey that in a classroom setting?
So to convey how to this mindset, and you know what, man, like I very quickly transitioned to a leadership position in the Army. Then once I was inserted via shoehorn into a leadership position, I did not have room to feel sorry for myself anymore. I had a far larger obligation, and that was subordinate personnel. So that means that myself as a leader, and I'm going to tie these things together here shortly, that I myself as a leader, my baseline is keeping up with everybody's max. Once you're not afforded the means to sell yourself, the idea of quitting and this is where I'm making a distinguishment between strength and stoicism. Okay? There is physical strength, but there is stoicism, the ability to suffer in silence. Yes,
Constitution.
we're all fucking sucking here. It's a mutually agreed upon thing that this experience sucks. Quit acting that way. And the sooner you quit acting that way, the sooner that situation turns into what you're acting like it is.
Yeah, embrace the suck.
Not necessarily embrace it, because I fucking hate it too. But but I don't find a reason to justify quitting. And once I become a leader, I furthermore, man, I hear the word and I fucking, my pupils go to pinpoints, bro. That's my enemy right there. So, so it's never okay to feel sorry for yourself. And I'm not sure that there's any class that's going to directly focus on that. Now, like things like, I might have you doing stress shoots by the end of the day. And then once you're smoked, okay, it's dinner break time. And now we're coming back at night. Oh my gosh, I can't do this at night. I've already been training for 10 hours. Well, now you're going to train for 6 more, because fatigue is part of the ingredient with this. And the more tired, if you didn't get any sleep the night before, good. That makes it harder. That makes it more of a challenge, and you're going to have to operate within those parameters of fatigue, which I guarantee, if any sort of civil conflict pops off, you're going to be fucking tired. That is a promise. And every single bit of this is tiring.
How long, how much, how far does it take to turn a man where that becomes his baseline and he finds comfort in it?
I don't know, man. I think that some people are just born. They come from the factory this way. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think it's any organizations or companies or one single person's job, other than that individual, to cultivate that internal constitution. I think you either got to have it or you can't, or you don't. Or you better go to Ranger Joe's and buy some heart. I don't know what to tell you. And like, if you come to discover that this stuff is exhausting, this stuff is mentally and cognitively taxing and trying of your soul, then maybe you should stay away from it and make peace with the truth.
I notice
Well, go for it.
I notice regularly that I don't see you posting your deadlifts. I don't see you doing your insane workout routine. Do you place a much higher value on here than here?
I place a higher value on cardiovascular endurance. I place the highest value on that alongside of the aptitude itself.
Funk, light that fucker up. He's talking about cardiovascular fitness and shit.
High intensity interval training. You have to be able to sprint like the devil himself is behind you. And if you have a leader like me, the devil himself is behind you. It's me.
What? Just real quick, because I like him and he's my friend, and I don't really have a lot of friends. I don't have many friends at all. What are we going to do with Bunk when the shit hits the fan? Because he's definitely not sprinting, but the motherfucker could pick up the ass end of a truck.
He's support by fire, that's for sure. If he ever thought that he wasn't a fucking machine gun line, it's in your name, the gun bunker. Holy shit! Yeah, I already know who the fucking support guy is.
I'll fucking take that role.
Making sure you ain't got to run, Bunk. I'm doing what I can do to help you out, Bart. Find your fucking little niche.
The running ain't gonna fucking happen regardless. The devil's gonna be all over my ass. That's just the way it's gonna fucking be.
Yeah, we just got to take that little extra time during the leader's recon to find a more covered and concealed route for the gun bunker. And that's all it is, man. It's just a little shift of some details. It's minor, you know.
As long as I'm not hampering the unit, I'm happy.
What's that?
I said, as long as I'm not hampering the unit, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, and we'll make sure that you don't hamper nothing. So
Oh fuck, Bunk. What? I hate to break in. What have you been up to, man? We haven't got to bullshit in a minute.
You know,
so
the panic buying is kind of is it fucking with you?
no, my ears are fucking with me. It's fine. Yeah.
The panic buying has slowed way down, and that's been kind of nice, to be honest with you, mentally. And I'm able to start. You probably seen I've been posting some different guns I've been working on. I'm starting to be able to catch up on working on some shit that's way fucking overdue.
Yeah, like I mean, dude, you take fucking orders and people put in like heavy fucking deposits, and then you just don't do anything on it for fucking months on end, man.
That was your whole end game to this fucking question, wasn't it?
Inside details.
What about you? Fucking what you're tanning hides?
Salting them. So my partner's got a kill floor. He's got a USDA inspected kill floor, and beef hide. The price on beef hides has come up quite a bit. And so if you can knock down, I mean, if you can make 15 or 20 bucks at a time, 20 or 40 times at a time, like that's some serious cash. And a lot of it just comes to what we were talking about earlier. If you got the constitution and the grit to make that dollar, like,
yeah,
3 hours out of my day, and I drag dead animal hides onto a pile and I coat them with fucking salt. But at the end of the day, like, it's money in the bank. It's 50 feet from my front fucking door. I got a salt shed, and it's just making a little extra coin off of fucking dead animal skins.
Yeah.
Marshall, what have you been up to?
I as a side gig, my buddy owns a taxi company that caters to Amish clientele over here in Pennsylvania. So, you know, an Amishman can own an RV, he can't drive it though. So it's kind of one of those deals. He makes runs across the country, and I pick up local runs here and there driving around Amishmen. And I've actually gotten to teach a few of them up here. So I'm in with the welding shop up the road and all of that stuff. I have this crazy plan that I want to. I don't know if Gun Bunker told you or not. I at one point had converted a 40-foot bus and lived in it.
Okay.
So
man of the same cloth. I myself have done similar.
There you go. Well, now I want a semi truck and a shipping container. So
and a what?
A semi truck and a shipping container. I'm going to pull the shipping container behind the truck so that way I can travel and teach. Now, this is going to take me a couple years, but I'm out here working on my content, still continuing to train people, building a following, and working towards a fucking semi truck in order to bolster my lifestyle.
Whereabouts in Pennsylvania are you?
I'm so right where Maryland and Pennsylvania come together, I'm on the Maryland side. I live in Maryland. Right.
Okay. So I did a bunch of work back in Kentucky, and we had quite a few Amish folks out there. Do you have the metal tire Amish folks?
No, they got
rubber
ones out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No offense to Amish people. I don't really understand.
Oh no, you know, like
you said welding. You said welding shop, and I've seen guys weld tires up that are made out of metal that run on 400 horsepower tractors.
Now I have seen those wheels at the welding shop. I haven't seen them in use here.
Okay.
Now it's crazy. You go into this fabrication shop, and all of their work lighting is propane.
Really?
Like it's all the entire shop is illuminated with propane. It's the wildest thing in the world. It's a culture.
Do they treadle power the welder?
What's that?
Are they treadle powering the welder? I mean, does a welder not?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't know. I only ask because I have the same questions about the metal wheels.
Right, and like I don't know because they're definitely over there making dumpsters for the county, and like they're welding the dumpsters up on stands and stuff like that. I'm just like, I don't ask questions. Like I just trust it. Right, and usually they're pretty cool. But with the Amish, as far as I know, if you're an English fella, you kind of have to earn your way in with them. And they generally look highly upon like former military. The only reason they look kindly upon me with the way I look,
I wondered how that passed.
Right, it's a travesty to them, but they're okay with me because they know my army buddy who owns the company that keeps their businesses going.
Gotcha.
And keeps their family members alive. Like when a little girl gets sick, they have to take her to San Diego. Well, they're not going to fly. They have to pay for a taxi drive. So yeah, that's what I do, man. It's always a little bit of everything, but it's always a mean to an end.
So again, tell me to fuck off if you want, but what made you go from Arizona to Maryland, Pennsylvania?
I don't like the fucking summers there, and I've had a shit ton of heat injuries, which makes that it's a comfortability thing. I'm not gonna fucking lie, but here's the flip side to that. I can stress how important it is to train in inclement weather and circumstance. But that's an entirely different story from getting people to spend their money on an experience like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so you're usually like in Arizona, I would run my classes overnight, completely overnight. We got the Milwaukee work lights out there, and like we're handling everything from zeroing the weapon to handling with it to moving and shooting to everything under work lights, just because it's 95 degrees instead of 120. Which 120 degrees is a liability too. It's all comfortability, man. And
which I get, because I can't fucking stand the heat.
I'm just not a summer guy, man. Give me winter year round. I'll be okay with that.
Have you had any?
What's that?
Have you had any like major injuries, surgeries, anything like that?
Have I ever had any major surgeries or injuries?
Yeah.
Ow, you fucking prick kitten. Sorry, I'm bombarded with kittens.
You just had one.
What's that?
You just had one.
Yeah, I just fucking Jesus Christ, fucker bit my toe. She's hungry. So I'm sorry, I got off track because I got bit by a fucking cat.
So have you had great major injuries or surgeries or?
Nothing major, man. I've had kidney stones surgically removed. That's about the extent of it.
I asked because you loving the winter, and I've always loved the winter more too. But as I've gotten older and collected a bunch of titanium parts in my body, I like the winter less than I used to, just because it fucking hurts. But I was just curious.
That's an injury I have. You see the limit of range of motion? Jiu-jitsu, I split my arm, the radial, down the middle, and they wanted to put a prosthetic connection in to my elbow, and I said, go fuck yourself, because I tattooed that whole arm, and now I don't want to have to redo it again.
So I thought he was going to say that
priorities.
Yeah, no. I thought we were going to get down to I don't want any serialized fucking parts inside of me, and it's just the fucking I don't want my fucking tattoos fucked up. Respect for that one, partner.
Right, just don't cut into my shit. Like I actually got out of both the smallpox vaccine in the military because of tattooing. You can't have a recent tattoo and get a smallpox vaccine. Otherwise, the tattoo will turn into the smallpox, and it's a guarantee. So, the first time I did have legitimate tattooing, and the second time I was like, no, I have fresh tattooing. And this male sergeant was like, let me see it. And I said, you really want to see it? And he's like, oh, it's on your dick? I was like, that's right. And he's like, all right, man, go, you'll get it downrange. And I'm like, joke's on you, because I won't. I'll be outside the wire. Yeah. So that was actually my saving grace on some smallpox job.
Interesting side note, the guy that does my tattoos does have his dick and balls tattooed I have not seen them, nor do I have any desire to see them. But I was asking him the typical, what's the most painful spot to get tattooed, yada yada yada, because he's got them all over, and he said that those are not the most painful spots.
Right.
So there's that. Now you know.
I've never done it because that little Pfizer blue pill, that don't work on me. So you have to be hard the whole time, bro. Like, how the fuck am I supposed? No, like
I love where this fucking podcast goes. Hold on, wait. So you're telling me, in order to get a tattoo on your dick, your balls, you just fly and swirl it. You could stretch it, but on your dick, you have to have a hard on the entire time they tattoo it.
Yeah, because you're not ever going to get a tattoo where one hand is not spreading that skin. Well, that's some pretty elastic skin on your dick. It's generally better if it's hard.
Learn something fucking new today.
The more you know.
And every tattooer that I've talked to, they're usually going to attach what they call a handling fee for a dick tattoo of like $1,000 fucking, just as a handling fee, because you got to hold this fucking little pecker in your hand and tattoo.
I was gonna say I might get half off.
And it is by surface area that it goes, huh? So I guess you might have a valid point there.
It's a common problem we share.
Oh, fuck. I wanted to check back here to your affinity for winter. You said Korengal Valley.
Yeah.
What was war like in country, in Afghanistan, in the fucking winter, man?
I fucking cringe when people say, what was life like in the sandbox? I'm like, you must be talking about someplace else that I haven't been. I said, because we're talking about the Hindu Kush Mountains, brother. And I can ascend and descend 60,000 fucking feet in a week. Right. And so once winter hits, same old story. I got a 35-pound necklace and I'm sliding on my ass like my ass is a fucking like a sled that they use. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same deal, man. You're still doing the cliffhanger shit with a 30-pound necklace. It ain't no slack there.
So I only asked because an area that I used to do a lot of work in, which was Canyon City, Colorado.
Okay.
They near Fort Carson, which is where apparently I found out why the helicopters were flying over us all the time. At the time, I may or may not have been growing some things outdoors, and I was fucking panicked. Yeah. And then I find out that they're like, oh, no, you ain't got to worry about that. This is where they bring all the guys and train them up due to the elevation and the valleys and whatnot being so similar over there to Afghanistan. And then I ended up talking with some of those guys, and they told me something similar. They said, this whole idea of fighting in the fucking desert, that was Iraq. Afghanistan?
Nope, I'm talking fucking straight down engagements. Okay, so I know that so this is the longest combat patrol I've ever done in my fucking life, and it was over 40 kilometers consecutive, okay? Climb up to the top of the Korengal Valley, right? On one side, we'll start walking that ridge. We're gonna go to a town and cordon and search it the next valley over. Now, as we're walking, Korengal Valley is 13 kilometers long, and it's all uphill from the mouth of it. So we're kind of, even though we just climbed that ridge, we're still gradually descending towards the mouth of the Korengal. Well, in a draw, like a large draw, one large enough to contain a small village, we spot two dudes on a roof. One guy's got an AK, the other one's got a walkie-talkie. No problem. We range it. It's about 950 fucking meters. That kind of rules out the M4s. That kind of rules out the saws. For probably the very first time in military history, an ambush was initiated with a belt-fed medium machine gun. That is a travesty in the infantry world. But it's the only goddamn gun we had that will fucking reach the dude. So we smoke check these fucking guys across the rooftop, right? Now, it takes us a good 2 hours to climb down to where they're at. And we've got A10s on station. They're doing danger close fucking strafing runs. And that's a little bit different from watching it on fucking YouTube. It is like your entire fucking world is exploding.
Are those guns as loud as they say they are? The guns on the front of that A10, I mean, guys tell me that you feel it in your stomach.
Yeah, it's fucking loud.
It's so loud you don't hear it, you feel it.
Right, like that. Like what it's doing is that chamber pressure is displacing oxygen around the fucking aircraft. And so is the fucking explosions of the fucking shell impacts. You, by all physical default, should not be able to breathe when this is going down. Right. That's just kind of what happens. That's the way thermobaric weapons work. They vacuum all the air out of the building by consumption via fire, and that flattens the fucking building. Same thing happens to human lungs.
Hold on, back up. Sorry to fucking ask stupid. You're telling me that a thermobaric weapon doesn't work by I thought it just got hot enough to weaken shit. You're telling me that due to the lack of fucking air pressure inside the building, ambient air pressure of 7 pounds collapses the motherfucker?
Right.
Fuck. Man, I'm getting
fucking
smart
wild,
today.
man.
That's the same reason you would see dudes in the invasion of Iraq. They just stick the muzzle of their fucking M1 Abrams in the building, fire it, drive out of the rubble and onto the next fucking building. It's that displacement that's happening on such a large scale with such a large fucking weapon, being a 120 or 105 millimeter howitzer going off inside a living room.
And so fucking quick.
Yeah.
I mean, that air displacement that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fucking
instantaneous.
I like
so we did learn something cool.
Dude, we're getting way fucking smart.
So
way fucking smart.
After we had done this battle damage assessment, and we definitely smeared these two dudes, we had to climb back up to that ridge and continue our movement to contact. That took us 8 to 10 hours to climb back up. And
were those the only two guys that you got?
During that engagement right there. Now we get back up to that ridge where we had initially set out to go cordon that other village on the next valley over, and we walk to it. This is like evening time, and we're walking all night, and we fucking get set in. And no shit, we just fucking lit up 2 dudes the next valley over. Of course, the fucking village we're headed to knows everything about it. Everybody within a 5-kilometer fucking radius knows we waxed those dudes. It was a 240 that did it. So we cordon the village. We find fucking nothing. And then huff it another 15 kilometers to the Pesh River, and where we have to go back over to the mouth of the Korengal Valley. And now we have to walk another 15 kilometers back up to the Korengal outpost. And this is like one of those situations where, like, in that constitution that we talked about earlier, where you don't know why, like, you're just crying, man. You've had it, dude. Like, you're black on water, you're fucking black, you're halfway on fucking ammo. You've been up for X amount of fucking days. And that shit, when I was talking about having conversations with rocks, that shit happens. It absolutely fucking happens. And under these pretenses or parameters, we are supposed to have the virtue enough to extinguish a human life. I just find that internally ironic, but maybe you guys also.
No, it's
ironic.
It's comical in a shitty way. Yeah, I mean, you know.
The fog of war, and as it sets in, looking back now, being able to, you know, the whole hindsight 2020, I mean, whether it is or it isn't, I think revisionist history takes over. That's why people see better.
Right.
But looking back on that now, is there any way to train somebody to be prepared for that outside of live fucking fire?
I can impart passing words of wisdom. that you're not going to know you're being shot at the first time that happens. You were never, more likely than not, you were never going to know. The very first time I got shot at, it sounded like static electricity crackling from, or it felt like that static electricity from power lines when you stand under them. And it sounded like popcorn. And I'm like in the back of an open 998 Humvee, an open back Humvee with a Kevlar blanket on the fucking floor. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, fuck, we're being shot at. That's what that's like. Because I've never been shot at before. I'm not saying you're going to freeze up. People can piss and shit themselves because that's what happens during fight or flight response. Your body voids itself with toxic chemicals that are going to put you into septic shock. That doesn't mean that you're a coward. That doesn't mean that you're going to freeze.
No, it's a natural.
Right. It's a totally natural deal. But
that's the shit that the mouse lost.
Train that neural pathway development. You want it to be automatic response or as close to it as possible. And me personally, my biggest regrets, and I'm not saying like I made catastrophic bad choices in this. I wish that I would have exhibited more patience to let a situation develop one way or another that can be invaluable and life-saving at sometimes. That's a very big point that I'd like to drive home with people, is have a little fucking patience to let a situation develop. This plays into every other facet of our lives too. Before we blow up on our fucking wife, we should probably let it develop before we jump to anything, right? If it's a decision of any degree of importance, maybe we should let it develop a little bit. Maybe just for, even if it's for a couple seconds, you're still giving it the opportunity. Now, I'm not saying do this when a guy is a threat right in front of your fucking face. Cut that dude in half. But if you are moving aggressively, check that aggression, have a little patience, and think about it. Weigh your options for at least 10 seconds before you're maneuvering one direction or another.
Yeah, it goes back to that figuratively taking a knee.
Right. It's the goddamn meditation. Like, it is.
It's tough though, man.
Yeah, and you're already drawing these parallels to it, man. As above, so below, dude. Like, I find it eerie how easily I'm able to find these correlations within the world around me as I experience it.
No, I mean, yeah, I get it. We're going on 2 hours, and
are we
keep going for a while, but
would you come back? I mean, I'll be honest, man, I'm not usually speechless. I can usually bullshit my way for hours on end, and at this point, like, I almost feel like I'd kind of like take a step back, digest, and do this again, because this has been not somewhat of what I thought it was going to be, but definitely I've enjoyed the context and the content covered, but I think given a little bit of time to step back, I'd like to do this again, man.
Absolutely. I'm totally down. I'm down. If you guys want to have me again, I would love it.
Oh, absolutely. If you're cool, we'll just go ahead and we'll figure it out. I don't know if we'll do it even maybe this next time, but we'll figure something out, because I am the same way.
I'm totally down, man. Totally down. Thank you guys for fucking fielding the questions that you field me, man. That, like, it's super cool, and I personally feel that they're well thought out, man. That's pretty cool.
I was super stoked. Like, when you came up weeks ago, you had just done, man, when Bunk said you were coming on, you had just pissed like half the fucking interweb off by saying some really hot shit. Like, you had said some, and I was like, oh, this is fucking good. And now I'm actually happy that I had time to settle, because it gave me time to really think about different ways to approach it. And talking about guns is cool, but fuck, man, there's so much more to life than just machine gun dumps into fucking trash.
dude, I got women ask me, well, what do you do for fun? And I'm like, how do I not look like a fucking lunatic? Well, like anything guns, everything guns. It's always guns. 24/7, it's guns. But I gotta find a more human. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
But
and you know, I've already discussed it, but I just thoroughly enjoy the mental aspect of, you know, going through shit and how to resolve it and deal with it. And I think there's a lot more we can touch on that too. But
I think so too, man. And like this is stuff like I'm not fucking saying I'm the fucking cure. But if we can help a few fucking people out with what we're doing right here, then that's a pretty fucking rad deal.
That's a big deal in my mind.
Yeah,
and it could save somebody's fucking life.
Yeah,
and actually, John, I and Sawyer too. If when he gets better, a lot of this, you'll go back and watch this, John, or listen to it, and a lot of the stuff that Marshall and I talked about, I sincerely would like your input on it too, because I mentioned this to Marshall. We all kind of have a similar mindset and things of that nature, but you've got other experiences that we don't have and different ways of looking at stuff that I think would add to it greatly.
Sure. Well, man, I'm certainly nice to have shared our evening or afternoon here together.
I was like, honestly, this is a big step for me, man. I've never done anything like this before in my life. I've always, you know what I'm saying, been the little guy with less than 1,000 followers, dude. This is very fucking cool.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. We'll do it again. You guys have a good night.
Man. Yeah, man. Well,
night, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe out there, boss.
All right.
All right.